It's Wednesday, January 10. In the headlines, Prime Minister Andrew Holness touts positive impact of a new Montego Bay perimeter road. National Housing Trust warns Jamaicans against scamming and being dishonest in transactions with the trust. In business news, $300 million homes set to trend higher. And in regional news, Barbados looking at increasing efforts to reduce regional food import. And in sports, Jamaica makes moves on the international hockey scene. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the Montego Bay Perimeter Road in St. James will lead to the emergence of new opportunities for housing, marking the next phase of investment in the parish. He made the comment while on a tour of the location this week. The new roadway is being constructed as a bypass for the city of Montego Bay to reduce traffic congestion. The Prime Minister also highlighted the considerable progress already achieved with over 60% of the route excavated.
To the point where four-wheel drive vehicles could traverse it. So the route has already been established. I'm very interested to see the supporting infrastructure. I'm seeing already on the drawing several interchanges that will be put in place, in addition to significant drainage, culverts, and other supporting civil infrastructure to make sure that the road will last for a very long time.
He says the project is going to be a landmark one for infrastructure in Jamaica. When the bypass is finished, it is anticipated to alleviate traffic congestion in the city significantly. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, has been given the nod to use the emergency procurement process to rehabilitate buses that are to be dispatched on the entity's hill routes. Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, made the disclosure following a tour of the Halfway Tree Transport Center on Monday, explaining that the refurbished units will boost the fleet of specialized buses that were used to ply routes that take up passengers into the hilly areas of rural St. Andrew. These routes include 52 downtown to Temple Hall, 53 Halfway Tree to Above Rocks, 53A Express downtown Kingston to Above Rocks, and 54 Halfway Tree to Border. The measure is intended to be a short-term solution to ease the long wait times by commuters for buses, particularly during peak hours.
So when I calculate that, to get to Border, up in St. Andrew, Golden Spring area, you're talking about at least another 45 minutes to an hour. So from the time they get to the center to the time they get to their district, not even their home, because some of them may have to walk or take a taxi or something, you're talking about easily 4 to 4.5 hours. That is, in 2024, that's unacceptable.
Self-employed persons are being reminded to provide accurate information to the National Housing Trust when making contributions, as this will affect their access to funds, especially those linked to new features being implemented. Assistant General Manager for Compliance Management at the NHT, Damian McNally, voiced the warning while speaking at a recent JIS think tank. We have more in this report. Mr. McNally says contributors must ensure that the information being submitted matches what has already been documented by the trust.
A lot of times when it is that you have difficulty in getting your refund, most of the time it's a matter of data integrity. Whether the NIS number is incorrect, whether there's an issue with the TRN or the names, right? And it's an automatic process. Our process is electronic, and so therefore, if it is that the information doesn't match that what we have on a record, then there will be a challenge.
He says the same goes for employers and those who are self-employed.
It's important that employees provide the right information to their employers, and it's important that employers submit the right information for employees to the National Housing Trust by way of the annual returns, SO4.
The NHT started accepting applications for refund of contributions made in 2016 on January 1, 2024. Contributors are being urged to be extra vigilant of phishing attacks following increased reports of fraudulent emails claiming to be coming from the entity.
The scams and the schemes we're seeing does not necessarily attack that process, but to play on the environment of refunds being available now, and individuals are collecting it. So we see the emails circulating saying, hey, your refunds is ready. Click on this link or fill out this form to verify the process and to complete it so it can be sent to you. That is not the NHT.
Assistant General Manager for Corporate Communications and Public Affairs at the NHT, Dwayne Burbick. He says email verification is not a method used by the trust in the refund process.
The only channels through which you can make applications for NHT contribution refunds are our online channels, and we have 3 of them. There is the NHT's website, which carries a landing page for applications. There is also our mobile app, NHT Online, available for download in both our Google Play Store and our iOS App Store. And there's also the NHT Online portal, which we made some improvements to last year, which we spoke about, which is a more integrated platform.
Stakeholders can communicate with the NHT Online portal at online.nht.gov.jm and the entity's website, which can be found at www.nht.gov.jm. Chief Justice Brian Sykes says there is a 70% chance of a case getting into backlog in the Civil Division of the Supreme Court. He says this data shows that despite reports showing Jamaica's courts making progress in clearing case backlogs, more work needs to be done.
Persons want their matters disposed of in the shortest possible time. And at the end of the day, they are not overly concerned with how elegant the prose are and the speech of the judge. When they come out of court, the only question they're going to ask their attorney, did they win or lose the case? And if they have lost, can we appeal? Those are the only things that they are interested in.
According to Justice Sykes, this situation has resulted in a protest from court users and litigants about the length of time that it takes for matters to get through the Supreme Court.
The data is telling us that the courts sit on average 3 hours per day out of the 5. So despite the backlog-free status, it means that you have approximately 2 hours in the day that are still underutilized, which means that cases can be brought forward to fill that period of time so that our citizens can get through their work, their cases in the shortest possible time.
He says his administration continues to work towards being data-driven.
So, for example, in the Court of Appeal, the improvements that they have embarked upon over the past year has produced the desired result of the President indicated, reducing the backlog of cases. And last year, for the second consecutive year, that has been confirmed. So the Court of Appeal is roughly disposing of 111 cases for every 100 coming in. And so according to the statisticians, if you maintain that for about 3 years, then that becomes your new baseline from which you can push on from there for greater efficiency.
Justice Sykes says in the Supreme Court over the last 5 years, they have taken in 13,420 cases on average per year and disposed of only 8,765.
So that tells you that there is a backlog that is being carried forward, and it gets worse with each passing year. The HCV division, on average 5,000 cases, and we're disposing only of 1,899.
He says a structural review of the Supreme Court's civil registry will commence this month and is expected to be completed before the end of the term to increase efficiency. The Chief Justice was speaking at a swearing-in ceremony for the appointment of members to the judiciary to higher office on Monday. 2 members of the legal luminary were appointed to act as Court of Appeal judges from January 15, 2024 to March 22, 2024 on Monday. Justices Georgiana Fraser and Lorna Shelley Williams were formally appointed at a swearing-in ceremony at King's House. The Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen, presided over the ceremony.
Your decisions will not only resolve individual disputes, but will also reflect our collective values and aspirations. You are the guardians of our Constitution and the rights that it guarantees to every citizen.
Sandria Wong Small and Dale Staple were appointed puisne judges effective January 8, 2024 in vacant posts. Justices Sharon Millwood Moore and Pamela Margot Mason were appointed to act as puisne judges for the period December 21, 2023 until further orders. Tamara Dickens took the oath of allegiance and the judicial oath as Master in Chambers, while Luciana Jackson and Christine McNeil were appointed acting Masters in Chambers. In the business report, real estate alert, townhouse prices set to increase. We'll hear more on this story along with your usual market updates from Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide to the latest happenings in the world of business. The shortage of land in the corporate area of Kingston and St. Andrew could see what was once thought of as an ultra-high-priced townhome set to go at an even higher price. According to Assistant Vice President of Real Estate Business at First Rock Real Estate Investments, Denroy Pusey, he shared with the media that the ultra-expensive units, which came to the market about 2 years ago, is a $13 million project consisting of almost 9,000 square feet of land being built along Bamboo Avenue in Ligonier. The units, promising first-class amenities, are equipped with 24/7 security, adequate parking, standby generators, backup water, and smart home systems, as well as individual swimming pools, among other finishes. The residents, which were criticized as being overly priced at US $1.8 million to $2 million, or over $300 million, in local Jamaican currency, could now, based on market demand, trend even higher, with prices for the remaining 3 units climbing to US $2.2 million to US $2.5 million. The redevelopment of the Kingston waterfront is on track, with a new 10-story apartment building built by Sherburne Limited. Located in Bournemouth Gardens, Kingston 2, the 10-story residence will feature 119 units ranging from studios to 2-bedroom apartments. Amenities include a gated entrance, 150 parking spaces, an outdoor entertainment deck, ground floor lobby and lounge, roof terrace with a fitness center and a pool, an on-site wastewater system, backup generator for common areas, and water storage tanks. Director of Sherburne Limited, Michael Lake, shared that the starting prices range from 16.2 million Jamaican dollars, 28.8 million, and 34.6 million for studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedroom apartments, respectively. Real estate investor and realtor Mara Wilson, who works with DC Tavares and Vincent Realty, notes that real estate prices have jumped and doubled in the last few years. Specifically, Ms. Wilson shares examples in the western parishes of Jamaica. At Point Village in Negril, Ms. Wilson was selling studios for about US $50,000 to US $100,000 in 2019. Now they are US $200,000 to US $500,000 according to Wilson. She notes that the White House Beach Club land in Westmoreland was sold to the developers The Morelands. Those houses started selling at US $390,000. Now they are US $790,000 in a matter of 4 years. Ms. Wilson stated that COVID helped jump prices, and most people thought they would go down, but real estate prices have increased. In agricultural finance news, Chairman of the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, JCEA, Norman Grant, has announced that the industry is targeting a 5% annual increase in sales over the next decade to grow from a weighted average of US $50 million in exports annually to US $100 million. This growth initiative will be backed by the Crop Restoration and Establishment Program, CREP, a $1 billion initiative over 5 years that aims to provide support, including seedlings, fertilizers, chemicals, and other inputs to coffee farmers as a part of a broader effort to rebuild and resuscitate the island's coffee industry. Grant also called for investments to expand road infrastructure development in the Jamaica Blue Mountain region, which spans the parishes of Portland, St. Thomas, and St. Andrew to unlock the industry's full potential. In investment news, Trans-Jamaica Highway has advised that the quarterly payment of dividends on its 8% cumulative redeemable preference shares due and payable for the period ending December 31, 2023 will be paid on January 15, 2024. The ex-dividend date is January 12, 2024. During trading on January 10, 2024, the top advancing stocks covered the energy, coffee, and transportation sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Siboney Group Limited shares advanced by 20.77% to jump by 27 cents to close at $1.57 with 626,000 shares traded. Salada Foods Limited shares advanced by 19.70% to see its share price grow by 65% to close at $3.95 with 2,700 shares traded. Knutsford Express Services Limited shares advanced 18.31% to grow its price by $1.95 to close at $12.60 with 200 shares traded. On the declining stocks that traders experienced on January 10, 2024, the top 3 losers covered the tourism, transportation, and distribution sectors. Owner of Usain Bolt's Tracks and Records restaurant, KLE Group Limited, declined by 24.5% to lose 49 cents from its share value to close at $1.51 with 30,450 shares traded. ISP Finance Services Limited declined by 21.2% to shave off $6.62 from its price to close at $24.87 with 99 shares traded. iCreate Limited declined by 15.38% to see 8 cents fall off its price to close at 44 cents with 1.7 million shares traded. Over to the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, trading activity for January 9, 2024 on the first tier market registered a volume of 69,000 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at 746,000 Trinidad and Tobago dollars. Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 28,000 shares, changing the hands for the value of 127,000 TT dollars, followed by Point Lisas Industrial Port Development Corporation Limited with a volume of 18,000 shares being traded for 69,000 TT dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the regional stock markets, we now turn to the Forex market. On January 9, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that 13.1 million US was bought from forex traders, while US 10 million was sold to forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $155.57 and bought the US dollar for $153.47. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $2.10, which represents a profit for forex traders for every US dollar sold. Canadian forex traders earned a profit of $2.33 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $117.48 and bought for $115.15. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $9.37, selling the pound for $200.39 and buying it for $191.17. For our credit report tip of the day, a high credit score often translates to lower interest on loans. By maintaining a stellar credit history, you position yourself as a low-risk borrower in the eyes of lenders. This means you not only have access to cash, but can also borrow it at more favorable terms, saving you money in the long run. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed and stay ahead of the curve.
In regional news, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM David Commisong is endorsing a suggestion for countries to consider putting some of their agricultural production outside of the hurricane belt. The idea was pushed by Prime Minister Miriam Motley, given the vulnerability of Barbados and other islands in the Caribbean to storms and hurricanes. Ambassador Commisong says the idea proposes the utilization of lands in countries like mainland member states of CARICOM or even Venezuela.
When we went to Venezuela a few months ago, Venezuela offered Barbados 50,000 acres of land, agricultural land, just you know. So this is an idea that kind of has taken root. Of course, we're still working to actualize it. I mean, we have done some of it with, for example, the black belly sheep in Guyana and so forth. And also on the industrial front, CARICOM finally woke up that we must have an industrial policy. So we set up a prime ministerial subcommittee on industry headed by Suriname, and they are now working on how to flesh out that. The lead president, President Ali, is reporting that countries are really doing what they're supposed to do. We are increasing our food production, and you know, I'm hoping that our food terminal at Lears, that in this year, that construction will actually start on that, because we have this idea of Barbados being like a hub.
Yes.
And we will be bringing in foodstuffs from Guyana, Suriname, re-exporting to other countries in the region.
The Caribbean Journal has named the Cayman Islands Luxury Destination of the Year and gave them the award for 2024.
The article says the Cayman Islands has managed to cultivate such a sought-after collection of travelers, all drawn to a destination that delivers the height of luxury without the attitude. Director of the Department of Tourism, Mrs. Rosa Harris, says they're proud of the achievement and look forward to 2024.
Looking forward to a wonderful year and setting up plans for 2024, knowing that we're coming off the heels of a very successful 2023 and being voted the #1 Caribbean luxury destination for 2024. The Cayman Islands Department of Tourism looks forward to delivering and adding value to the Cayman Islands government and our partners within the Cayman Islands tourism sector and wider business community.
In the Bahamas, one day after the former police commissioner called for a review of the Bail Act, a former attorney general says the act isn't the issue. She says the current laws first need to be properly enforced. Bethany McDermott reports.
Amending the act won't fix the issue. That's the sentiment of former Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson, who says there are issues within the system preventing swift justice with serious crimes. Her comments come after Police Commissioner Clayton Fernandez said on Monday the Bail Act needs to be reviewed.
Even if you amend the Bail Act, unless the system is fixed, it's just going to be a waste of time, if I could put it that bluntly.
The issue was thrust back into the spotlight after the country saw a spike in homicides, with 8 so far for the year. During Monday's press briefing, the police commissioner took issue with the fact that trials can take a long time to wrap up and that bail is granted within 3 months to individuals charged with murder. Maynard Gibson says the judiciary must deliver on the expectation that trials will happen within a reasonable time.
It is unreasonable for a rape or a murder trial to take 6 years to happen. It should never take 6 years for such a thing to come on to trial. It is equally unreasonable, in my view, for someone who has been charged with a serious offense to be released on bail within 3 months. This is especially so because there are many judgments that say that 3 years is a reasonable period of time.
Now, the former Attorney General says when she served in the chair, multiple trials happened within a year.
When this current Commissioner of Police was attacked, the person who attacked him was arrested and tried and convicted within 9 months.
A backlog in cases is no doubt a hindrance to trials wrapping up quickly. She gave this solution to address the vexing issue.
At one point in time, there were 10 criminal courts sitting to hear criminal matters at the same time. At the same time. Is that happening today? That would adequately deal with backlog.
In sports, President of the Jamaica Hockey Federation, JHF, Fabian Stewart, says the team is determined to compete and showcase their skills at the international level. Jamaica is set to play in Pool B of the 2024 Hockey Fives World Cup alongside Egypt, India and Switzerland. It will be held between January 28 and January 31 in Muscat, Oman. Stewart says the Jamaican delegation is scheduled to depart the island on January 22 to make use of warm-up matches as preparation for the tournament. And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.